Okay. Hello. I'm very excited to start the Kaine story. Because, I don't know, I love Kaine so much. And I've just been just overjoyed since I found out that it even exists. So, I'm just gonna get freaking right into it. I also added a sub goal for fun. No pressure or anything. Just there if you want it. Excited. Freaking ready. Oh. Oh, well, thanks, Stream Elements, for telling me I'm live in my own chat. Very cool. I don't know why that's there. Very weird.
カイネさんと接するたび、どこか懐かしかった。無意識のうちにお姉さんとダブらせていたのかもしれません。やります。
Plus Kaine's song is my favorite. Her dreams. The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke steamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. Hey Onion, what's up? A single child, however, had braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly toward the wooden hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as any could remember, and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. Those traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. I don't know why I just got so stuck on that part of the sentence. If the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then I... The child blinked. Rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Did you write this? No. No! It's a serious moment, Onion. You can't do this right now. Come on. Come on. The child felt a slight breeze and walked as the vein slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled, with the beak pointing firmly toward the east. East? Really? Before the vein could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of stones began to fall all around. Oh no, they found me. A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stones continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of multiple footsteps grew louder before a voice rang out. Yoo-hoo! Kaine! The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the air. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision, but she could make out the shapes of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. Oh my god. I'm just asking serious questions. I'm not gonna do the baby voice until after this. That's how much Kaine means to me. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her, the tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to this sensation. It was one she had experienced many times before. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of their children, many encouraged it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated and, if possible, destroyed. I didn't say you could leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave, he can't hurt me, he can't hurt me, he can't hurt. Oh look, the little freak is gonna cry. What's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept ever closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless, a failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and it upward. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me. Not even taking his attention off Kaine, he called to his cohorts. Come on, guys, let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the weather vane. It continued to point east as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak, chanted the children. Freak, freak, freak. Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. What? Yeah, well, I just said no, Demo. True. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Stupid fucking fingers, bro. Oh my god, he's crying. He's actually crying. Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves, as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy scuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on the ancient woman standing a few feet away. True, he got wrecked. I keep having to burp, but that's the first time it actually came out. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. And if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it. The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. Ow! He screamed, leaping to his feet. Stop it! What are you doing? Quit whining. Ain't no one ever died from a scratch. You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch. A big one. That thing could have killed me. The old woman shrugged. Death is the best cure for stupid. Demo's face twisted with rage at her words. Locking his eyes on Kaine, he took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out. Leave this village. No one wants you here. Either of you. Burp me. The crocodile hunter got scratched by a stingray. Man, why'd you have to say that? Why'd you have to say that? Just wondering. Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out with a single laugh. Huh, look at the fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting at the blood on her forehead. Oh, Kaine, she said, why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot. The words of her grandmother stung Kaine and she turned away. Don't be nice to me, she said. I don't deserve it. Nothing. Nothing matters anymore. Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. Everyone hates me. They think I caused bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead. As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that attempt the crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath. Understand? The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know that because you survived it. As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few years together had not been easy. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. Do I make you sick, Grandma? Of course not. Don't be an ass. Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. But my body, it's not normal. If I was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't. Hush, interrupted Grandma. I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you, and if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell. With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. But she said ain't no one died from a scratch. So aggressively wrong of her to say, nothing else matters, Metallica. The ancient woman has a southern accent, methinks. Since she constantly shortens ing words to in. Go to hell. You know, she might be southern. But I like to think she sounds like Kaine, which makes it funnier to me. Because imagining a fragile, like, old woman saying the things that Kaine says. Pretty funny. And in the voice she does. Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made this for me? Lunar tears were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one. And yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Where did you find these? Just stumbled on them while I was out doing the shopping. I like to think she sounds like McCree. That's fair. The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. He reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. Didn't quite turn out right. said her grandmother as she squinted at it. These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you. Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty? Of course you are! What a fool thing to say. Thank you, Grandma. Her grandmother smiled. We're gonna be fine, you and me, she said. As long as we got each other, we'll be just fine. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped the hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough. Even if it's us against the world. Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hints of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. Kaine's dreams daily life. So is Kaine related to Kaede? Onion, shut the fuck up. Yeah, they're best friends. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was as far from a work of art as could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of shit axe! Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would make the most hardened sailor blush. Grandma, called Kaine. That you, Kaine? yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. Don't get too close or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake. She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine, close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she'd scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands over her mouth and shouted, Grandma, do you need help? I can get you water or lunch or a new axe or something? The axe, poised to strike another wobbly blow, paused in midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can get the water? Shades have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards. Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the most difficult of the two jobs. But Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with the chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the real reason. She didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance away from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to villagers and her granddaughter. And rare were the days when any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack in the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. I'm just asking questions. I'll watch that clip later. Because I feel a little bad now. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it, crap! She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with the blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. Oh, my freaking neck itches. I don't know why. This is tough, and my logs are all weird sizes. Spitting on her palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down her buckets with a small sigh, she took one look at the logs and coughed up a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy, girl. You better practice if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Her grandmother, not... Grandma! The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket. Can't let it spill. Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. Grandma? Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Kaine away. Stop that. Just stop, she cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman's shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either of them had feared, the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Grandma, you're sick and you need medicine. I'm going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said. I'll be fine. Her grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed like an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like it, goddammit. But I guess I should quit being so stubborn and let you grow up. The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across a dark and rainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes just to make sure the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance to the village. A few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Hey Mel, could I get some advice? I asked the streamer earlier a completely reasonable question and I was told to shut the fuck up. I can't help you. Sorry. Sounds like they were right though. So maybe you just messed up. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund, older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling anyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. I don't know why I freaked up. I freaked up, man. Well, guess you're just a sympathizer. Yep, that's me. They call me sympathizer. The sympathizer, actually. Hey lady, said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel. Where's the apothecary? The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. How dare this thing speak to me, they seemed to say. But Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion. Fear. Yeah, we're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one. Which way? Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off into the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary. But the new emotion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He'd clearly been sent here on some kind of family errand because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. Oh my god, he sputtered. I mean, what are you doing here, freak? The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for the medication. "Ah," barked Demo. "That old bitch finally keel over? Go to hell, Demo." The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed to fall out of his head. But before he could let fly a comeback or worse, a punch, the apothecary told him to knock it off before he kicked them out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time had worked its cruel magic and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. "You like that picture?" Kaine turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. "That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead a long time now, though." Now, and there's no though. I don't know why I'm saying words that aren't there. What the heck? Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. "Pictures are wonderful things," continued the shopkeeper. "They let the ones closest to you live on forever." He shook his head slightly, then looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medicine, he reached into a sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. "You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw." Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. "Yes, I've heard the rumors about you," he said. "It's a small village and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother, Kali, and I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable." "Grandma's name is Kali?" thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling this new fact over in her mind as she reached out and gently took the crayons from the apothecary's hands. "Your grandmother is an old friend of mine," he said as Kaine scooted away yet again, "and I owe her much. I wager she would like it if you drew a picture of her." "Yes, I think she would like that very much." Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless, and with enough tiny steps she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. "Back already, are you?" asked her grandmother with a yawn. "Come here, let me have a look at you." Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild, she leaned back and allowed herself to relax. "Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble?" "It was kind of fun," said Kaine with a small smile. "No, seriously, it was." "Fun, huh?" asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she believed anything but. "Uh-huh, so anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know." As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her portrait. "A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone." "But Grandma, it'll make you live forever." "Horseshit," said her grandmother. throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now just put those crayons away and help with dinner. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. Kaide with a small smile. Shut your mouth. Right now. It's terrible. It doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, make drawing easy or something. The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain in her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, then slowly wheezed out a laugh. Oh, Kaine, she said between laughter. You truly are my blood. You're as clumsy as me, and I love it. But hush, I won't hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. It came from the heart, and I'll treasure it always. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no more and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. Gosh, said the old woman. I'll take this down when they roll me in my shroud. She pondered this for a bit, and then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on, so that someday you can feel the same happiness. It was a moment that burned itself in Kaine's memory, a perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment, to never forget the old woman who made her place in the world possible. Time moves on. People and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. I'm out of breath. Kaine's dreams. Separation. Kaine listened to the sound of crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. Grandma, I can't believe you want me to eat a bug. The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. It's no bug, you fool girl. It's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs? Yeah, well, it sure looks like a bug, said Kaine. And I think it's burnt or something because it smells terrible. With that, Kaine held her nose and threw the berry in her mouth, chewing as little as possible. Oh yeah, that's terrible, all right. Why, you little brat, laughed the old woman. Look at the sass on you. You've been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact. 5 years had passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. As is often with the two stubborn people, their relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and hurled abuse in equal measure. I don't know why I said manner. Kaine could not remember a time when she had been happier. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do many of the chores she used to take for granted. And so this morning, found Kaine lacing up her work boots with a breakfast of burned berry rolling through her belly. Where are you going today? Asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. Well, I was gonna check out the calma trees and see if they were ripe. I thought we could make some jam or something. Oh, and I'm gonna pick up some flagstones, so I need to take the wheelbarrow. Flagstones? What in the hell for? Kaine stared at her grandmother, then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Wait, what? Then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Oh, okay. I get it. I was like, the whole arm around her home? What? Constructed mostly of cloth, rope, and rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. Grandma, a dying cat could chew through this house. I'm going to build a stone wall so we have some protection. The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. Goddamn, girl. If a bunch of thieves want to ransack this old place, let them come. We got nothing worth stealing anyway. I'm not worried about thieves. I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday. The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. Well, shoot. I don't know why you have to do it today. We can worry about it some other... Grandma, no. If I don't go to the Kelma trees, we won't eat tonight. You know that. A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost at a carnival. Yes, she said after a bit. Yes, of course, you're right. I'm sorry, Kaine. Lately it seems my mind is... Didn't finish the thought, instead walking over to her nightstand and gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer. The flower's petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. You're gonna be a true woman soon, Grandma said as she placed the flowers in the girl's hair. That means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls and more talk about how beautiful you've become. Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. You're a beautiful thing, said the old woman, and there ain't no another like you in all the world. I'm very proud of you. Okay, Grandma, that's enough goddamn compliments for one day. Such a mouth on you. Where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. I'll teach you to sass me, girl, yelled Grandma. Suddenly, she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. Grandma, yelled Kaine in a quaking voice. Grandma, stop it! What the hell? The old woman stared at her and blinked, then slowly held her wrinkled hands out as if it was the first time she had ever seen them. Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't know what's happened there. I'm sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind just... Kaine thought the look on her grandma's face was the most heartbreaking thing she had ever seen. Listen, she began. Maybe I should stay home after all. No, I won't have you stay here to keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your wall and whatnot. I'll be fine. And when you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you. Kaine rolled her eyes and kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart, trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around, she told herself, but in the end the temptation was too great. She spun on her heel for one final look and saw a small, bent woman standing in front of a ramshackle hut with a sad expression on her face. I think I said hunt, so I'm just like, what the heck? I got it from my mama. Got it from my mama. Gods, she looks so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and just carry her away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for the lack of focus, Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her fingers and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black crowd that hovered just ahead. Tracing its path with a finger, Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. No. Oh gods, no. Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flames licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma? Grandma! Kaine ran then, faster than she had ever moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground, But she leapt to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It's too dark. It's too dark, not just fire. Can't be fire. Too much smoke. Gotta save her. Gotta save her. She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt, her worst suspicions confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with the thick, inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on 3 twisted feet and achieved balance through means of a large, armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws sprouted from its body in a random chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine, it let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending small whirlwinds spinning around the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into a shimmering, inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her, a blend of rotted meat and excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kaine responded with a scream of her own. "Alright, you bastard," she thought as her scream echoed off the high cliffs around them. "It's you or me. Let's go." The shade eyed Kaine with bemused interest, then it began looking from her to the house and back again, as if urging her to look at the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. That's crazy. Hey Dash, what's up? With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced toward the house. Through the smoke and flame, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. "Grandma!" At the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. "She's alive," thought Kaine. "Alive!" Kaine's legs sprang to life as she raced across the yard toward the flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar powerful enough to uproot trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air before smashing her against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. "Get up! Get up! Get up, get up, get up, get up now!" As Kaine struggled to her feet, the shade stomped toward the house and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of a claw. I'm like so bad at reading right now. Damn, Grandma, what the fuck? The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might well have been pushing up mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, then collapsed to the ground, her energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet, only to fall back to the earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire, one or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. "Grandma, hold on. Just a little longer." Her grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere deep inside its core. "Bastard," laughing at us. She had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion, but there could be no doubt that the shade was taking joy in their suffering. "Yeah, I see your plan." The shade moved its claw slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. "I'm gonna kill this bastard." Summoning all her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted backward, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble toward the monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. "Give her back," she screamed. "Give her back to me." It was like stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The shade panted laughter again, then raised its tail and sent it rushing through the air toward the young girl that was latched to its foot. Kaine never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay on the ground with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small, weak voice spoke up. Kaine? Kaine's vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make out her grandmother's hands reaching out to her through the smoke. Grandma? Kaine, you gotta run. You can't pass this one. Kaine grabbed the hands and held on with all her strength. Grandma, come on. We have to go. The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. That's such a sad sentence, but I was laughing because I'm crazy. I'm a psychopath, basically. And Grandma, no. I said run, goddammit. You have to live. You have to get through. The thought would stay forever unfinished. Before she could say another word, the shade's clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from the gaps in the creature's toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and red. Her grandmother was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel the hands which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the fingers, but then the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after the other, faster and faster, until they became a meaningless jingle of noise. Kaine screamed then, a thunderous sound that echoed off the cliffs and seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground below. The earth shook with every step as it crept towards its prey. Its prey! Kaine's body slowly rose as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles, her head lolled dangerously to the side, yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just moments before, took a slow, hesitant step backward, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a madwoman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing to the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly as if a great weight were resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? Think it is. Think I'm bleeding to death. No, can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Kill it. Kill it now. As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer. Oh jeez, that scared me. Stop laughing at Kaide. And longer and longer. I'm not laughing at Kaide. I would never. The beast approaches. I'm so glad to not be reading anymore. Great. I have to go to the bathroom so bad too. That's why I keep bouncing. Oh, the novel is over. Yeah, well, what can happen? I fucking forgot that I had to do the baby voice, so here we are.
寛容な姿で生き続けるはいかなる執念か。二度と会わなくて済むよ。
What the fuck?
ここで殺してやる。剣が軽い。剣ではない。お前の腕が上がったのだ。存分に暴れよ。
Where is it? Oh. Pop goes to frickin' Weasel. Kane's dreams again. Gently, weakly, softly. The shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off toward the horizon, stopping along the way to bellow one final roar. Couldn't kill it. Shamed beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see, and only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is gonna make clapping a real bitch. Ah. Ha! cried a sudden voice from the depths of her mind. Finally gonna die, are you? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to a dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only to be replaced by another, more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop. Don't want to live forever. Want to die right here. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment, then produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing at it with sharpened pincers. Stop! No! Don't hurt that picture! Kaine reached out with her remaining arm and waved futilely at the air. Holy crap. I'm struggling. To her surprise, the insects fell off the picture and to the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth in a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognizable lump of nothing. The apothecary smiled, then broke into a jolly dance. See that? He cried as he danced the jig. It's perfect now. She looks just like you. Ha-cha-cha-cha. I look like that? Oh god. Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair, Kaine laid her head back in the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come. But just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. Ain't you got a wish, sunshine? The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity. I can't read. As if insanity had somehow found a way to take form. Kaine wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but her lungs refused to work. You know, a wish? Like a prayer or something? Why don't you get on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, save me, save me. Haha. Kaine finally resorted to shouting at the voice with her mind. I don't make wishes. They don't come true for me. I'm a curse, a freak. I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Oh god, you are the best. Kaine glanced down and saw a black shiny substance oozing from her legs. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. My hand keeps getting caught on this wire. What the frick is going on? The substance slowly crept around her feet and then began moving up toward the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind just losing itself? She could feel the slime oozing upward, feel the hot, searing pain it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was still alive and this was real. Come on, said the voice. Let it go. Kaine tried to ignore the voice and concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, sunshine. You're ready to give up, ready to die, so why not let me have it? Have what? Your body. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. I want to stand on the ground, feel the rain, taste the wind. The voice paused as if licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unabated joy. And I want to take your hands and use them to choke the goddamn life out of people. I want to tear out their throats and bathe in the blood, just like before. In response, Kaine shifted her head and vomited. The warmth of it crept down her front and mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. What the fuck? Yeah, I know. What the heck? Are you a shade? Yeah, maybe. What of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed into the socket of her missing eye. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight, but all she could manage was a small whispered moan. Feels good, don't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. Yeah, what can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Now give me that body. Come on, give me that body and I'll give you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. A black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side. As she watched, it grew longer and thicker, eventually taking the form of her missing arm. I can see better, she thought. My eye must be growing back too. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she regained her voice. Stop. The black ooze hesitated, as if considering this request, then quickly shimmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Ah, what the hell, sunshine, screamed the voice. We had a deal. I thought you wanted to die. Grandma said, can't die yet. A brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken, flashed before her eyes. She saw the shade that had killed her and heard its mocking laughter, then closed her eyes and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned bright red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Kaine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern, the pattern of the shades, burn itself into her left arm. Well, I'll be damned, said the voice cheerfully. Look at that, sunshine. I think you and me are gonna be good friends now. Kaine stared intently at her arm. The more emotional she felt, the more the letters seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. The arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop. Gotta stop. Holding her left arm in her right, Kaine took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Come on, don't fight it, pleaded the voice. Hate's my favorite dish and I'm hungry. Let it go. Feel the anger. Burn with the fire of revenge. Thirst for blood, then go out there and... Shut up! Shut up and get the hell out of my body. Your body? Oh, that's rich, sunshine. Sunshine. Real rich. Look, why don't you just up and die so I can have this body all to myself? What do you say? I bet those buddies of yours in the area would love to see you dead. Kaine grabbed a nearby shard of glass and tried to saw off the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, her darkened left arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Kaine screamed and dropped the shard as the sound of bone crunching on bone filled the air. Ha ha ha. Stupid idiot girl. You're possessed now, Sunshine, and there ain't no going back. The voice laughed again, a loud, long wail that seemed to go on without end. Possessed? Whispered Kaine. Yeah, possessed. You and me, we got what you might call a timeshare arrangement. Remember how folks used to think you were a freak? Well, wait till they get a load of you now. Kaine looked up, tears in her eyes. The sky seemed smaller somehow, darker. Is this because of that shade? Is this how they see the world? So, listen, purred the voice. I know this whole possession thing seems a bit sudden, but it ain't all that bad. There's plenty in it for you too. I'm a very powerful creature, Sunshine, and now that power belongs to you. You got enemies? People you want to kill? I can make that happen. That little fat kid who kept picking on you? That big old shade that squashed your granny? We'll wrap them up in their own assholes. No more abuse for you, Sunshine. No more pain. Okay. Well, wait, said Kaine. You're a shade. Why would you help me kill another shade? What, you think I'm some kind of racist? Some killing snob? I don't give a good goddamn who you murder, honey pants. I just want to drink from the well. Kaine considered this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away with the wind, and she enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze felt on her new left arm. After a long pause, the voice spoke up again. So, how about it? You and me? We could have some good times together. Look, I'll even take care of that bloody part if you don't want. Fuck off, asshole, muttered Kaine. I'll handle the killing. Ha ha ha, screamed the voice. Look at you go. Oh, Sunshine, we're gonna have so much fun. So listen, my name's Tyran. And if you ever need me, I'll be hanging out in this piece of meat you call a heart. Now get to it. The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour. And I like rotten and sour. Kaine found herself nodding at the voice. Yeah, she said. Yeah, I think this can work. I'm gonna find that shade, and I'm gonna strangle it with its own guts. And when I'm done, I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyran. Count on it. Ha! Laughed Tyran. I have shit bigger than you, so good luck with that. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me are sharing this body, but if you ever run out of hate, if you ever, go soft, then I'm gonna take over everything. So keep on killing, Sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, fading to somewhere deep inside Kaine herself. Kaine waited until she was sure the voice was gone, then waved her new left arm around a few times. It feels perfectly normal, she thought. It feels like mine. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the new limb, determined to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean the creature inside her had already won. I am not a shade. I am Kaine. Repeating this mantra in her mind, or mantra, whatever, I don't care. She slowly began digging through the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore a certain red-stained spot in the corner. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she found what she was looking for. It was the wreath of lunar tears. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland's petals were as bright as ever. Kaine started to place it in her hair, then slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry. But I don't deserve to wear this anymore. I'm possessed, corrupted, a freak. And this time, I don't think there's any going back. Holding the flowers to her heart, Kaine fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened to dawn and the people of the area rose to their daily lives, she remained in that position, as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that now infected her world.
Kaine-san, 生きて！戻ってきてください！
前たち。エミール、私を呼んでくれていたのはお前だな。
僕のことわかるんですか？
エミールはエミールだ。私は間違え
カイネさん、ありがとう。
おかえり、カイネ。
ぬ。ずいぶん立派になったな。どのくらい眠っていたんだ、私は。
5年だよ。
I just love that she's tinier than him now.
そうか。5年か。ヨナは？
探してるが魔王の足取り自体なかなかつかめぬ。
これ。
それは月の涙。
おばあちゃんのに負けないやつをって頑張って作ったんだけど。
そうか。ありがとう。
長く石化されていたカイネの目覚め、エミールの見せた優しさ、再び出会う喜びを俺たちは噛みしめていた。デボルさんたちからその話を聞くまでは。なぜなんだ？どうしてなんだ？デボルさん、ポポルさん。
分かってちょうだい。揉め事が起きて危害が及ぶのはあなたたち自身なのよ。
でも
大丈夫ですよ。僕らなら外で寝ますから。
待てよ、おかしいだろ。己の身を犠牲にして村を救ったカイネとエミールがなんで村から追い出されなきゃならない？
だって僕らこんなんだし、みんな怖がりますよね。あなたにそう思ってもらえるだけでもう十分ですね、カイネさん。
私は外の方が慣れてる。
そんな。
じゃあ外で待ってますね。
すまないな。
どうした？
俺ちっとも気づかなかった。カイネがなぜ野宿していたかちっとも気づいてやれなかった。くそ。
今日はもう休め。
その夜は眠ることができなかった。デボルさん、初めて憎く思った。ポポルさんを冷たい人だと疑った。だがそんな俺の感情には意味がない。彼女たちは村を第一に考えた結果、ああ言うしかなかっただけだ。村人たちを魔物の恐怖から守ろうとして言ったことだ。デボルさんとポポルさんの罪を責めるなんてできない。カイネたちの立場を知ろうともしなかった。俺も同罪なんだから。
I'm honestly just trying to get to a save point before I go to the bathroom. It's taking so long. But I'm pretty sure it's coming soon. So.
カイネとエミールに謝ろう。謝って。いや、謝ったって。
カイネさん、
この声は。
ネさんとまたお話ができて僕嬉しいです。
そうか。私
カイネさんを助けるために僕頑張ったんですよ。一生懸命磨いてみたりお湯をかけてみたり。
お湯をかけたのか。
はい、でも全然ダメで。
石化を解いてくれてありがとう、エミール。
ちょっとだけ姿が変わっちゃいましたけど。
辛い思いをさせてしまったな。
でもこの姿も悪いことばかりじゃありません。こうしてカイネさんを見ながらお話できるようになりましたし。そうだ、カイネさんのこと聞かせてくれませんか？
私の話はつまらないぞ。
カイネさんのこともっと知りたいんです。
分かった。私に魔物がつく前、子供の頃の話だ。私は少し変わった体をしているせいで村では厄介者として扱われていた。でもただ一人、おばあちゃんだけが私を受け入れてくれたんだ。どんなに辛いことがあってもおばあちゃんがいてくれるだけで私は生きようと思えた。
カイネさんにとって本当に大切な人なんですね。
ああ、
そうだ、カイネさんの石化も治ったんですから。魔物つきのことや僕の体を治す方法も見つけましょう。みんなで探せばきっと簡単ですよ。僕たちならきっと。
お湯をかけるよりは難しいと思うがな。
もうそのことは忘れてください。
So cute. I think Nier's jealous. Watch out, world, because Yona's coming out to play.
眠れたのか。
あ
目が赤いな。あまり思い詰めるな。
あ、ポポルさんたちのところに行く。
わかった。
Word.
なんだそれ。
これは母さんの日記だよ。
母親の。
あ
すまん。
あ、いや、いいんだ。これは唯一のこれを読むと
そうか。
だけど最後の数日間の日記には
奇妙なメッセージ。
ああ、それは
おい、聞こえておらんのか。
I mean, it's saved. Whoa, what the hell do I look like this for?
おい、何をほうけているのだ。
What?
すまん。何か夢を見ていたような。
What?
あったまま寝るとは器用なやつだな。
He's old as
行く
hell.
ぞ。あの扉だ。
ああ、行くか。
Oh. Okay, well. I'm running to the bathroom after that one. Thingies. Okay, I'll be right back. I am back. Okay. This? Thank you. Thank you. I don't really know exactly what. Unable to save until the battle is over. Okay. See what freaking happens. This is the world of the recycled vessel created to avoid the destruction of all. This music's kind of sick. Oh. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Whoa, I just freaking fell down, go boom. Oh, okay. The snore. Worth it. Can't actually see what's going on. Oh, I finished it. Okay, I was so confused. I wonder how many thingies I have to do. Soldiers of Salt calling forth white death. They are legion, those who plunged. Darkness? I don't know what the answer. What the? That's not very cool. Bro. Visible hooks are annoying. Fool's Embrace. Okay. Dragon's corpse brought death to the world, delivering unto it the power of magic. Oh, shoot. Come on. It's like, I am literally so close to killing him. Got out of my face with that. Black sickness stains the future. They journey to return the soulless vessels. Okay. Ow. Shoot. Okay. I think I can. Oh, I messed up. Maybe I just. Ah. That makes sense. Okay, that's not fair. You can't just attack me when I can't defend myself. Freaking messed up. Ibuki. So that was stage 1. So this is the one I just did. That's all I can do. Yeah. Good. If I do end up doing more of those, I would probably do them off stream. Just so it's I guess like more story oriented.
何か夢を見ていたような。
ああ、わかる。
Happens to me every time I read it. There's... Okay, doke.
Konnichiwa.
よう、意外だな。もう
いいえ。
そうだな。
ええ。それと
なんだ？
俺も
お前が謝る必要はないさ。誰だって仲間を傷つけられると腹が立つ。彼女たちにも謝っておいてくれ。
ちゃんと伝えておきます。
So does that mean just do whatever I want?
ポポルさん、
あ、
昨日は
どうして？
でも村のみんなのためなのに。
優しいのね。
そういえば、
ええ、石の神。
我のいた。
そう。
でもあそこに
船でようやく魔物からの火が石の神殿の裏。船頭さんに言えばこれで。
ありがとうございます。ポポルさんには本当に。じゃあ
気をつけてね。
Be freaking careful. Popo asks it of you. Be careful. I want to meet this accord.
船着き場には
I've been waiting to meet this chick.
水路か。ようやく完成したのだな。これで走り回らずに済むようになるといいが。
Wonder what exactly.
移動が早くさせてもらおう。それだけ早くヨナに近づけるってことだ。遠慮なく伝わせてもらおう。
It's gonna be different. That's what I meant to say. Does that mean Red Bagman's still alive? It is. Meaning that.
やあ、
その赤いか。
あ
あれからずっと仕事を認められて
あ、すごい。
ありがとう。まあ、船に乗っ
This is just sad. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Oh, I'm supposed to go to this room. I remember now. My brain's small. Are there any quests over here, though? That's the question. At least I'll be able to do that quest again, I think.
Yeah. この洞窟の先に石の神殿があるよ。
そしてその先に
行くぞ。
行くぞ。 like I had to sneeze, but it did not happen.
ようやく血を浴びれるな。嬉しいだろカイネ。
It's kind of crazy. That's exactly what I thought he'd sound like.
殺しがしたくてうずうずしてたんだ。
Wait, where is the other? Did they already kill it? Hey Jordan, what's up? Not much, just being tired. I'm good. I'm sorry to hear that you're tired. I hope you either get to sleep soon or that you wake up a little bit. Stayed up late last night, so definitely will be going to bed here shortly. Well, hey, I hope you sleep well when you do. I'm glad you stopped by beforehand. Thank you for that. So many freaking boxes. What can I say when I see a Mel stream? I click right away. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. But you already know that. So loud.
なんだこいつら。
何か通常の魔物と動きが違うようだが。
体の機能が完璧でない者たち。
そういえば聞いたことがある。俯瞰全体の魔物が集まっている場所がある。
How have you not beat this game yet? I swear you've been playing it constantly for years. I actually did already beat it. This is the second playthrough. I finished the first playthrough last night. How long does it take to finish it? It kind of depends on like how you play it. I'd say I don't know. I want to say like at least 20 hours per playthrough, maybe. But because I like doing all the side quests, it's gonna take me longer. But I think I finished all the ones I could do. So it should be fairly quick for this one and the next one. That's not as long as I thought. I guess side quests take a while. I thought you had at least 250 hours. Right now I have 42. Give or take a few more minutes. Add it onto that. So maybe 43, like, and a half. I'd say. Or 43 and a half is what I meant. I don't know if I said 42 and a half. Is that total overall? Yeah, that's all the hours I've spent on this game. Guess I'm tripping. Thought you've been playing this game for a lot longer. I mean, you might be remembering Automata, but this is Replicant. But it's not the same game. Similar game, not the same game.
カイネ、エミール、今度から俺も野宿するよ。
なぜですか？
お前らだけ村に入れないなんて、やっぱりどう考えてもおかしい。不自然だ。
抗議運動というわけですね。
やめておけ。
けどこのままじゃ俺の気持ちが。
では その気持ちだけありがたくいただいておきます。
エミール、
この大事な時期に慣れない野宿で体調を崩したら大変ですから。それに僕カイネさんと二人きりでする野宿割と気に入ってるんです。
そういうことだ。邪魔するな。
うん。Oh, I always forget there's a ladder there.
雑魚が多いな。
蹴散らすぞ。
Yeah, I figured that might be it.
光に当たると知るぞ。おびき寄せろ。さすがは雑魚。たやすいものだ。
あの石像がボスだ。皆を操ってるぞ。
泣かせるね。笑わせるね。
Does it snow where you live? Yeah, but it has not yet. We've only had like minor flurries. I think like literally yesterday it was 60, so it's very weird right now, but it usually snows by now. I'm hoping it does. There's not a ton of snow where I'm at. There's a bit though. Oh, the thing is cold out. Yeah, it's super cold out today. It's been like consistently 30s, I'd say. Or just below 30. I hate the cold, still warmer than here. Yeah, I bet. I don't think I can handle living in like that cold of weather. I think I'm way too fragile for that shit. I don't like it being like super hot, but I like being in a full 4-season area. I'm a baby when it comes to cold. When I lived in BC, it didn't get super cold. Yeah, I'd rather be like super, like I'd rather be burning up than cold. So, if that gives any. Birdo, which gets down to -30. Jesus. I would cry every day. I would never leave my house. I'd build a snowman and then never leave my house. All right. I forgot that I was supposed to hit her. I literally don't leave my house unless I gotta work now. I want to do things like photography and stuff, but then I open the door and instantly shut it and go back into my blanket. That's fair. I'd probably do the same thing. Winter is definitely the season I say fuck no to the outdoors. Yeah, me too. Some people that love the winter are just built different, honestly. I just cannot.
魔王の城への封印を解く鍵みたい。ちょっとこれを見てもらえる？わかる範囲の言葉を書いてみたの。手に入ったのは石の守護神という部分の石の神殿にあったことを考えると、あと4つの石片がはまりそう。NieR、機械の記憶す中性、このうち記憶する気、あとの2つ。NieR、中性のケルベロスは。
なるほどな。各地点のでかい魔物を倒して
手当たり次第に殺し
魔王の元に行くためだ。
けど危ないわ。
さらわれたヨナの方が
でも生
きてる。
わかった。カイネさん、本当は町の人も少し時間をちょうだい。
はい。
I miss summer. I wanna be lying on a beach with no responsibilities. I mean, if I had it my way, I would have like spring year round. Maybe not too much rain, but like, I really like the rain. The only reason I don't like rain is because I fall asleep so easily. And I get really tired just when it's rainy outside. That's why I wouldn't prefer it year-round, but at the same time, spring's my favorite. I like the fall a lot, but I think I just really like seeing the leaves come back to the trees and flowers blooming. Or then, you know, them dying. But, speaking of tired, I am that. I'm gonna call it for now. But I'm glad that I got to start Kaine's story. Very fun. Also, our same rain or thunderstorms put me to sleep instantly. I sleep with a fan every night as well because they require white noise. Yeah, me too. Also, I love rain if it's warm outside, like a nice summer day that's rainy, because it's fun to go outside in it. I don't like rain when it's cold or the rain that makes you cold. Yeah, I like light showers too, because it's just like, it looks really pretty outside whenever that happens. I was like, what the heck is going on? But basically same. Other than that, I'll be back live on Tuesday as per usual. I'm assuming that Kaine's story is gonna take way less time than the original story did. So I'm not sure how many parts this playthrough and the next playthrough will be, but either way, I'm still gonna upload them to YouTube. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm glad I could chat for the last bit. I'm gonna sleep. I'm exhausted. Have a great rest of your night and have a good sleep, Mel. You know what? It was good chatting with you too. I hope you sleep well, and I hope you're not as tired tomorrow as you were today. But yeah, have a good night. And everybody else, have a good night as well. I'll see you guys. Bye bye.